All right, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the Boys Chat. You got Darren, Colby, and Tanner with you. Welcome back, Darren.
Thank you very much.
From your summer in Albuquerque.
Yep, you got it right the first time.
Any fun facts you want to report back with us? Anything crazy happen? You pregnant?
I am. It's just food. Kara's not. Fun facts. Albuquerque is the land of enchantment. New Mexico is the chili capital of the world.
Oh.
And
did you make these up?
no, those are real things.
Oh.
Like all the license plates say like the land of enchantment.
Oh.
So every time you see like meth heads like running across the freeway and everything, you're just like, if you see something you can't explain, it's just land of enchantment.
That's a good point.
You just leave it there.
All right, well, welcome back. Today we're going to get right into it. Today we are talking about psychology facts.
You struggled on that one.
Yeah, well, I was going to say psychological things, but I'm like, psychological is the wrong word. Psychology facts. I don't know if you call them facts or just phenomena.
Points.
Phenomenons.
Phenomena. Yeah, so we're going to go over different psychological phenomena. First up, I think everyone has heard of this. It kind of comes and goes. I see memes about it. It's the Mandela effect. And yes, it gets its name from Nelson Mandela. Because everyone is confused on how he died. That's where it came from, was because
like,
people think he died in jail, but really he was let go and became the president of South Africa. So
I was wondering if like he invented it, like founded it or something, but
no,
that's
he didn't.
just as cool. Like
It was just named after him.
Yeah.
So yeah,
basically the effect is that people misunderstand or like misremember a certain historical thing.
not even
or just,
necessarily
like,
historical,
anything.
just anything. So it's collective false memory. So it's when a large amount of people recall a certain event or object or anything, but it's wrong.
Okay.
And it's
So at what point does it become the Mandela effect and it's not just you're losing it, Grandpa Joe?
yeah,
when it. Well, I mean, if you're losing it, it's called Alzheimer's. But
blueberries, man.
All right.
but it's not just like, oh, you're old. It's like a cultural thing. It's a wide amount of people that remember something a certain way. The psychological explanation is the phenomenon is attributed to cognitive biases, suggestion, and the fallibility of human memory.
That's a big boy word.
I butchered that. But so some popular examples, right? Nelson Mandela, whether or not he passed away in prison or after, which we know that he did not.
Right.
Another one is the Berenstain Bears. You know those children's books where it's like
Yeah.
the bears?
Uh-huh.
Everyone thinks it's Bernstein
I thought
or
it was
Stein,
Bernstein, yeah.
right? The way it's spelled, right? So it's, BERENSTAIN, which
always
most
thought it
people
was
think the very end of it is STEIN.
Yeah.
So Steen instead of more like a stain, Berenstain Bears instead of
Okay.
Bernstein
I
Bears.
totally thought it was.
So that's a big one.
Stein.
It's the same here. I thought it was Berenstain Bears for the longest
I don't
time.
know if you've already read through the list. What do you call the peanut butter brand?
Jiffy.
Jiffy?
Jiffy?
Yeah.
It's Jif.
Oh,
It has never been Jiffy.
That's right.
I call
guess
it Jiffy too.
I guess it's Skippy. I always like cross them.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
probably more.
That's probably where it came from.
That
Yeah.
makes
just
sense.
crosses them.
Or the next one is Fruit Loops. How is Fruit Loops spelled? I literally had this mistake the other day at work. I tried to look up Fruit Loops.
F-R-O-O-T?
Yeah. Not fruit like as in apples of fruit. It's
Okay.
fruit as in the same way you spell loops.
I just thought of it like in a marketing thing. You just
It's
put
It's
the
slightly
rings
different.
on there.
Mm-hmm. And then Disney's Snow White. It's mirror, mirror on the wall, not magic mirror on the wall, which a lot of people think it is.
See, and I
like-
thought it was Mary.
Like the witch comes up, magic mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? No, it's mirror, mirror on the wall. I guess that's a big one. I don't think I ever thought that because they did like a
I
Snow
thought
White
it was
off
mirror,
movie. It was
mirror,
mirror,
and
mirror.
then, or I thought it was magic mirror, but I always said it mirror, mirror.
and I always thought
Never
it was
mind.
Mary.
I got that mistaken. It is magic mirror. It's not
Oh,
mirror,
okay,
mirror.
So it's
alright.
the other way.
My bad.
So we are wrong.
My bad. I read my notes wrong. I didn't read far enough down. No, it's mistaken as
Mirror,
mirror, mirror,
mirror.
but it's actually magic mirror. Another one
That makes sense.
is from Star Wars, Episode 5, where it's not Luke, I am your father. It's the actual line is no, I am your father.
Is it really?
Uh huh.
I literally
Because
watched it
it's
the other
like, you know, like, oh, did Obi-Wan tell you what happened to your father? He's like, oh, he told me you killed him. You know, and he's like, no, I am your father.
Oh.
And did you know that the only people that knew that were George Lucas, James Earl Jones, who voiced Darth Vader, and I think one other producer or scriptwriter. And then later, they told Mark Hamill, who played Luke, and he didn't tell any of his castmates. So when they saw it in the theaters at the premiere, Harrison Ford turns to him and is like, dude, why didn't you tell me? You know, because he's like, because they told him, like, don't let Carrie Fisher know.
Right.
Because she tended to blab things.
She was
So
Tom
the
Holland of the
line that,
generation.
yeah. And so the line that David Prowse, who wore the suit of Darth Vader, said, because he gave all the lines out.
Right.
So the actors could say it back. Same with Peter Mayhew's and Chewbacca. He actually, and he was British. And so you would hear just random crap coming from Chewbacca, like in a British voice, and then it's like, that doesn't look right. But David Prowse's line was, no, Obi-Wan killed your father. So then the reaction of Luke, oh, no, it's not true. It's not possible, you know, it makes sense for both, but it's, no, I am your father. So I went a little deep there in the nerdiness of Star Wars. I apologize.
So Darth Vader wearing the costume and the voice aren't the same people?
Yep, different people.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't matter because the helmet's always on,
Yeah.
except at the very end.
At the very end, which is funny because David Prowse didn't get to
Haven't
play
made it that
that.
far yet.
Didn't play that guy. They actually had a different guy play when the helmet came off, and David
Oh,
Prowse was
weird.
upset because David Prowse was a bodybuilder, and I watched the whole documentary about him, and he was like Frankenstein's monster in an old Frankenstein movie.
yeah, he was.
He was always like a monster in Hollywood because he was big. He was very large in stature, and so he played a good monster. But he always had a mask on. And so the one time he was going to be able to show his face, they cut him out and used a different guy.
Tough.
Yeah.
That's why you don't work in Hollywood.
Yeah, that's my main
Oh,
holdback
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
This is the moneymaker. I'm man enough to admit it.
Exactly.
All right. We'll hit one more on the Mandela effect. Does Curious George have a tail?
No. Does he?
Think about it.
I didn't think he did, but does he?
He should.
Theoretically, he should, but I don't remember him having a tail.
Do you remember ever hanging from something? Is he
No.
holding onto his foot or is it the tail?
I don't think he ever had a tail.
I don't think so. Does he?
Nope. He doesn't have a tail. Wrong kind of monkey. He's more of like a chimp,
Yeah.
and chimps don't really have
Oh, yeah.
a big tail, if anything at all. They're, I mean, look at like a gorilla, a chimpanzee.
Do you still want to get a monkey someday?
Oh yeah, I want a
So
capuchin.
I mean, you
parent a
just get a-
monkey with you.
I don't
for
think
it.
you can have one in Utah though.
You have a permit for it.
Yeah, but I think you got to jump through a lot of hoops. There's certain
Worth it.
animals that you're not allowed to have in certain states.
Monkeys, dude. Might as
Yeah,
well get it.
I'd love a
Okay.
capuchin. A capuchin would be.
Freaking Charlie. This dude, like 2 years back for SEU, he had never played lacrosse before, had seen it on
He's
TV, bought
something
himself a
else.
lacrosse stick, and
Wow.
then like showed up to tryouts or like showed up to practice one day.
Right.
And then he became our face-off dude because he like played hockey and like wrestled and everything. So
Oh, okay.
good
Makes
fit
sense.
for him.
Yeah,
You know,
makes sense.
he'd like be sitting there waiting for the face-off, and then he'd like look up at his dude and go, meow, and then like clamp.
That's funny.
He's a weird kid.
That's
he
funny.
was-
He's something else.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Aviation guy.
Let's move on to the next one. This next one, I don't know how to pronounce correctly. It's Synesthesia. Synesthesia? That's not right. Synesthesia. It's right there. Can you say that word? Synesthesia?
I can't speak either, so
Synthesia.
There we go.
we'll go with that.
All right.
Correct us if we're wrong.
This is a neurological phenomenon where stimulation of one sensory or cognitive pathway leads to involuntary experiences in another one. Now, the best way to explain it is Ratatouille, when Remy eats the strawberry and the cheese and he sees the colors. That's ultimately what this is.
Okay.
Right, and there's more to it than just with food, where people eat food and they see colors. Sometimes it's they hear a song and they see colors, or they smell something and they see colors. Like, oh, this smell is this color, or this song is blue, this song is yellow. And
Is
I
it
don't-
like what subject in school is like what color? Like do you
Notebook, kinda,
Yeah.
kind of where you associate a color or something with something else. Right? It's not just taste, smell, or whatever with a color. It could be
I met a chick who
a
she
bunch of
saw
other
like
things.
people
As
in,
colors?
Like, a color.
Uh-huh.
Personally, I don't see color, so not me. But
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
I think you see color. I just don't think you see color. I don't think you're tripping on acid or LSD.
yeah.
I feel like
I don't
that's
hear
what
color.
it's
Oh yeah.
what it's related to.
Yeah.
Not that-
So some examples of this are grapheme-color synesthesia, where its letters or numbers are perceived as having specific colors. So someone might think the letter A is red, right, in these particular people's brains. Another one is chromesthesia, which is music or sound evokes color. And they might see a certain color when a certain note is played, right? You get high C and you just see yellow or something like that. There's spatial sequence synesthesia. I apologize, I'm butchering that.
I think that was the right one.
Synesthesia?
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay. Where sequences such as numbers, days of the week, or months of the year are perceived as having specific spatial locations or orientations. For instance, the months may be laid out in a mental space around the individual. I don't understand that one. So
doesn't make sense to me.
actually, I can kind of understand it. Maybe it's like the beginning of the year technically is January, but I've done it before where I see the beginning of the school year kind of marks like a new
That's the
year.
year mark.
Yeah,
it's
like
the same
August,
thing with-
September is like, oh, it's back into a new school year, so it's like new classes, new teachers, and then it kind of goes through that way.
Well,
Maybe that makes sense.
And I think the other thing is like, all right, what's the start of the week? Is Sunday the start of the week, or is Monday start of the week?
There's a few
Yeah,
variations.
I mean,
In Germany, they have Monday at the start of their calendars.
yeah.
So,
I mean, you look at a U.S. calendar; it's Sunday, Monday, but Sunday is considered the weekend, so technically Monday is
right.
still.
And God worked 6 days, rested the seventh, but then I think, the Sabbath day marks the beginning of the week as well. So,
Yeah, it
Yeah.
goes both
Well,
ways.
with that, work 6, rested 7th. If you view Sunday as the start of the week, then that's why. Is it Jehovah's Witnesses or
Jewish.
Jewish?
Yeah,
I think
Judaism.
Jews
Yeah,
view Saturday as the Sabbath
right.
because
they see it that way.
Yeah, I mean,
it all depends on what day of the week
Yeah.
you see first.
so stuff like that. Another one is number form synesthesia, whereas numbers evoke a mental image of a specific spatial layout or form. That one I don't understand. I don't really understand that one at all.
That
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
But, oh well. We're not experts, right, Colby?
Yeah, we're definitely not experts in that one. Did you see that one?
Did I tell you about those? I'm going to skip that one because I can't really pronounce those words. Mirror touch. Observing another person being touched or experiencing a sensation triggers a similar tactile sensation in someone's own body.
I mean, I feel like most
Oh,
guys feel like that.
when you see someone get hit in the boys, everyone feels it.
Yeah.
Everybody feels
to,
it.
to a certain extent. Or like you see like a fail video of somebody getting hit their face super hard. You're like, oh man, that hurts. I feel like,
Hyperextension.
yeah,
That one will get you.
yo.
Knees or elbows.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that one's really relatable.
As
for
far
the
as
most
like
part.
physical injuries go,
Yeah.
hyperextension is one of the highest like fears on my list.
Oh, yeah.
Just like to watch someone's knees go the wrong direction.
Yeah, I hyperextended my right knee and tore my meniscus. But, okay, we're going to do one more because the other ones I don't really understand. And this one, they all seem pretty similar. This one's emotion color synesthesia, where people view emotions as certain colors, which I think is kind of the
Like
most
Inside
common.
Out.
Yeah, Inside Out or like mood rings,
Yeah.
where they say, hey, if it's red, you're hungry. If it's yellow, you're happy. And if
There
it's
are,
purple,
like-
you want to get frisky. Whatever it may be.
There are like psychological ties to that though. So like
Right.
you actually hit those first two spot on. So like red does like invoke like mentally you think hunger, and then yellow's happiness. That's why like McDonald's uses red and yellow.
Yeah.
Happiness and I'm hungry. So I'm
Right.
gonna
Well,
pull
yeah,
up.
yeah. Color theory goes a lot of ways because I've researched it because in my office at work, I close the blinds so it's super dark, and then I have like an RGB light that I can change the color of. And the longest time, like,
I
what
always thought you
colors?
were at home when you were doing that. I was
Nah,
like, does
it's
this
at
dude ever
work.
work? Like,
That's
what's
at
going
work.
on
That's
right
at
now?
work. No, I was at work. And so I'd always look up, like, what's the best color for work? And it's usually like a green or a blue. It wakes your brain up, or like a white light, because that's like daylight. It wakes your brain up, and it starts moving the productivity, the creativity, and then you do like light that's lower on the UV spectrum, so closer to like a red, that helps you go to bed. And if you have it low at night, like the red, it's a lower wavelength, so it's easier on the eyes, it's easier on the brain, and it helps
Probably
go to sleep.
part of
Same
why
with,
they
like,
say
purples.
don't use like blue light and use your phone right before bed.
Yeah, because it keeps you up. It gets your brain going.
Checks
Well,
out.
I had an English teacher that she would only use blue and green markers on the board so that you would catch it. And
You'd see it.
Like actually be in your brain instead of like black. It's, oh, she's just writing something, or red, like, oh, I don't want to read that. That's in red.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Right. All right, let's hit the next one real fast. This one is the placebo effect. I think everyone knows what that is. It's snake oil. So yeah, pain relief is a popular thing where alleviate pain rating from everything just by like, oh yeah, do this and it's gonna help, but it's just fake. And it also helps with Parkinson's disease, where placebos are known to temporarily improve it. And a big one that I always think of is like in Harry Potter #6, the Half-Blood Prince, when Harry gets the liquid luck from the potions professor, and he makes it seem like he dumped it in Ron's cup before a game. Then he does
Ron
super
believes
well.
that he can't do anything wrong.
Yeah, when he really just did like some other spell, like some jinx, but it was pretty much a placebo. Because then Hermione later is like, I can't believe you did that, and he's like, I didn't, and holds the. She's like, but you. And he goes, faked it. So I think that's like a placebo. So
I like the people that have lost like limbs and stuff. They'll put like their hands into a box and have a mirror so that they can see the other side.
Right.
of it. I feel like that is another
kind of
part of that.
right.
I guess.
Or even just like, I don't know. I think I buy into placebos like super big. Like when I'm drinking or when I eat a lot of sugar, I just mentally feel like if I have enough water, like it cancels out, you know? Or like meditation and stuff like that. I don't know. There's a ton of things where it's like just mind over matter.
Yeah.
If you can buy into it mentally, like genuinely buy into it,
right.
then you can see real.
Right. And that's like the whole thing
effects.
is tricking the mind, because then the mind has power over the body. Right. So it's like if I take this or if I do this, then it's going to help. I think it's also kind of like superstitions, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like you got to do certain things before you do whatever. Like me and Logan would listen to the same song before games in high school, right? And we'd always listen to it. It would motivate us and get us hyped up. But it's like if we didn't, we felt like we'd always had a worse game if we didn't get that in beforehand.
Yeah.
Now, whether that's, just habit or...
I wore the same socks.
Yeah,
I did wash them.
See, people like that. It's
them.
like you wear the same socks, you got your lucky underwear, you got your lucky whatever, and if you don't have it, then
I tap the pipes in the same way at the start of every game.
Right.
Yeah. See, so it's like you got those rituals where it doesn't really make a difference,
But it does.
but it does because it's all up here in your brain.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, moving on to the next one. This one I'd never heard of before, but after doing a little bit more reading into it, I was like, oh, yeah, I totally get that. I see that all the time, and it's the bystander effect.
I've heard of it. I can't remember
Where
what it is.
a lot of the time it's in like crisis where something's happening, but there's a ton of people around and no one jumps up to help because they all think someone else will do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's the diffusion of responsibility
Yeah.
where, oh, I could help, but someone else has it. Someone else is going to be better suited to help in this scenario.
Right.
But
That's
then,
why in like medical emergencies and everything, or like really anything, they say point out like a specific person. Don't say like someone call 911.
right,
point
you
someone
point
Say
someone.
you
Yeah.
call it. So
Right.
like
'Cause it gives
one,
you
so this doesn't happen,
responsibility.
and also like on the flip side, so everyone doesn't call in.
Right.
You just overload them with the same
Same problem.
call.
Right.
Yeah.
And then another thing with it was they did a study on it. I can't remember who did a study, but just like observing it, they realized that people were more likely to help if they were the only ones around.
Yeah.
So like car accidents, I witnessed a car accident on my way to work a couple years ago, and I was over the Green Springs exit off the freeway, stupid busy trying to get out into Washington for work, and I text my manager like, there's a car accident, I'm gonna be late. She's like, no worries, just get here when you can. But I was like in the intersection, I didn't see the crash, but I saw it halfway through, so I didn't see like what caused it, but all of a sudden I see a car go up on its top, spin, and land like this. And I'm like, what is going on? and like not a lot of people got out to help. It was everyone kind of just like waited, and some people got out and started helping. And like I've done it before, where a couple cars in front of me, car breaks down, and it's like, oh, they need help pushing. Do I get out? I'm about to get out, and I see like 3 other guys running. I'm like,
They got it.
they got it.
Yeah.
And I drive away.
I've had scenarios like that too. I was out at Lake Powell and just waiting for my buddy to come pick me up at the docks, and this guy comes hauling butt in to the marina in the no wake zone, and then starts yelling for help. I'm like, oh, does he just want help, like tying up his boat? Like I don't know what he's doing. I kind of wasn't paying attention, and then I kind of looked at the boat and went, wait a minute, windshield's all busted. Wait a minute, there's a jet ski in the back. I went, oh crap!
Right on.
Holy.
So I go.
Somebody launched into him.
Yeah, so I go running over there. I start figuring out what's going on. And what's funny is I was with Jason, the police chief.
Oh, okay.
Williams. I was
Okay.
like, I blanked on his last name for a second. But we both run over there. I'm holding the boat. Apparently there's a woman under the jet ski.
Oh.
Somebody was following behind them. They had stopped. Jet ski didn't see they stopped, come up and over and landed on her.
Where'd the person go? Were they on the boat?
They
or?
were on the boat.
Oh,
with
so
them.
they swam away.
The worst part was is they were friends and they were with each other.
Oh.
So they knew what was going on.
Yeah.
They had like shut down the whole marina, and like I was just sitting there holding the boat to the dock the whole time. I'm like, I guess this is what I'm doing. But I mean, there's been other
Dang.
times that I've seen stuff and then I've just walked off and I'm like, oh, somebody else will help. But totally the effect. Like I was probably the only one
Right.
around for a few hundred yards. So
Yeah. Another thing is like people, just human nature, they see something happen, like someone's getting robbed or there's a medical emergency, people will hesitate unless they see other people starting. Like if everyone's like, well, I don't know what to do, and no one's taking action, no one's going to take action because everyone's like freezed up because it's like, I don't know if I should because no one else is.
right,
Which is just, I mean, it's human nature. It's monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
we're all just clones and drones for this. Go with the flow.
yep.
Just like water. Path of least resistance.
Right.
All right, now let's hit this last one. This one, it makes sense, but at the same time, never read it before. This one is called the Tetris effect, getting its name from the game Tetris. And this is a phenomenon where prolonged exposure to an activity or a stimulus leads to individuals to involuntarily perceive or think about that activity even when they're not engaging in it. And it's not just Tetris, the video game. It's not just video games in general. It's any task at all.
Right.
Which
Put that in my terms. Dumb it down for me.
you spend too long doing one thing. When you stop doing it, in your brain, you're still doing it.
So you're
Goddard.
knocking doors and you're going through your sales pitch, and then you start talking to some rando in line at Chick-fil-A or whatever.
Going through your sales pitch.
You're going through your sales
Or
pitch.
you could be doing something completely different and you're going through it in your brain over and over and over and over again.
I do that all the time with my work. All
Yeah.
the time.
So,
Ask Kara, I was doing that a ton when we took the family trip up into Canada in the middle of the summer.
right.
Because I was like, come straight off of it. Like even doing phone calls as we travel up there. Still pitching people. And then it's just like, anyone talks about bugs. And I'm like, oh, where are you getting them?
I can pitch
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah. So some popular examples are the game Tetris. And I actually do this when I'm packing a car. I think of it as Tetris.
It is.
Oh,
Right? Where I'm not actually playing the game. I haven't played Tetris in a very long time. But I see the car and I'm like, I have these objects. They need to fit into this space. How can I accomplish said task? And so I play Tetris with my crap.
Not
Are you
me,
pulling up Tetris?
I've been addicted to it the last little bit.
Right.
It's been bad.
Yeah. And so people will see objects as like falling objects that need to fit into a perfect place or else game over.
Right.
Right?
But in reality, it's not game over.
Uh-huh.
It's just life.
Another thing is musicians and melodies, where musicians may find themselves mentally playing a particular tune or melody they've been practicing even when they're not actively playing their instrument.
Which makes sense.
So it's like getting a song stuck in your head, which makes sense.
Scott does that so consistently.
Oh, I bet.
Even like someone will say something and it's like, yeah. And he's like, was that a D minor? And he's like picking out notes.
Right.
Because he's like working on getting perfect pitch.
Uh-huh.
So, which I didn't even know that was a thing you could like
I didn't, you
strive
could work
for.
on it?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Jack Black has it. Just
Probably.
out there.
but like it's achievable even if you aren't born with it, which is crazy. So he's like been
cool.
working on it. So even in conversations, or he'll like hear a note and he's like, that's the same note that's at the start of this song, and I'm like,
That's crazy.
What are you talking about?
That's crazy.
the kid's nuts.
Right. Another one is chess players. So chess enthusiasts may visualize pieces on an imaginary board, and if like pretty much play out a game of chess in their brain. And at work, we've gotten real into chess lately because at our old office we couldn't play ping pong because it was too loud because our neighbors were complaining, and my boss was like, "Hey, let's play chess. Let's have a chess tournament." So we got real into it. And I hadn't played chess for years, but at one point, me and my brothers were pretty into it when we learned.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just got back into it. I play it daily now. I got the chess.com app, and it's got a daily puzzle. I'm consistent like 40 days now, just every day playing it. And I'll sit there, and I'll be like playing the game, and I'm like, oh, I should probably get back to work. So I'll stop halfway through, and I'm sitting there doing my work. In my head, I'm like, if I move there and then move there, and then they're gonna move this way,
You're
and
still
then I can,
playing it.
and I'm still playing it in my head. And I'll do it when I'm watching other guys play. And I'm like, oh, if they move here, then and I'm like playing the game out in my head
Mm-hmm.
as best as I can, and just be like, yeah, just move, you know, all that stuff. And then if I lose, I'm like, well, where I went wrong was here. So if I would have done that, they would have done this.
And then you replay the
And I
rest of the
replayed
game.
the whole game in my head. I'm like, okay, I could have got checkmate there. Or if like I run out of time because we play with a clock, and like we'll run out of time, they will or I will, and I sit there and I'm like looking at it, I'm playing it out in my head because like we stop moving the pieces, and I'm like, okay, so I move here, he moves there, then I move here, then he does that, then I do this, and then checkmate and I win. You know, 2 moves away.
Yeah.
So I actually experience it, even though I'm not like a big old chess player.
Well, and I think I do it a lot too. Like when I'm in the passenger seat driving, especially like I'll be thinking about like when I'm riding a motorcycle, like, oh, I would be right here in this lane position. All right, I would be switching lanes here. I'd be doing this, or I would lane split here, or even like driving a car, like, oh, I'd do this, or like,
Right.
I think through. I do this all the time when I'm even just driving my truck. Is I think about what I would do if I had a trailer behind me, like how I would turn, how I would take.
Right.
Yeah.
I do it so much.
How it changes it.
Yeah.
Or like when you're driving home or you're driving somewhere and you're on autopilot to somewhere else, and it's like, wait a minute,
Have
I'm
you
going.
ever got somewhere and you're like,
Yeah.
what happened?
I do it.
I've
a
been
lot.
halfway. Like me and Cam one time, we went to Walmart, and then I think we were swinging by my parents to grab something, and I'm like driving home, and usually
Because that's
at
a
Walmart,
road you've driven how many times?
But usually we get on the freeway to go home, but this time I'm going up the hill towards my parents' house. And I'm like halfway up the hill, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not going home. I'm going to my parents. What am I doing? I need to go home. And I realized, I'm like, wait a minute. No, I need to go to my parents to pick something up. What's going on? I'm sitting there like freaking out for 30 seconds driving down the road. I'm like, where am I going?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, driven it for years and years and years up that road. And I'm just like, it's just you're on autopilot going to where you're going.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get lucky and you're going the right way. But
Right.
Yeah.
another one is typing patterns. If you type on the computer a lot and you type the same phrases or words over and over again,
Yeah.
you'll be typing something completely different. All of a sudden, you're typing out what you type out all the time. So,
I
which
found
is
that. Or like, yeah, I guess that. Or sometimes it's like I have a thought in my head and I'm trying to type it, and then my mind wanders and I just start typing what I'm thinking, even though like, because your brain kind of splits. You know, you have like the
Right.
task at hand, and then like your inner monologue, whatever's going
that's
on.
called ADHD, bud.
It's the same same thing.
I have it too. Don't worry.
I was gonna bring up like when I speak, I'm always talking, and then something else comes in my head, and I just completely switch without finishing
Right.
my last thought.
Yeah, it's called ADHD.
I know. Oh,
Now I'm thinking about how I'm talking while I'm thinking while I'm talking. and I'm
Bro,
just
this
like,
is so
oh.
meta. This is so meta.
Wait. Pulling back to chess. Have y'all seen White Collar?
Yes.
no.
My
Okay.
mom
It's
loves
like a
that show.
crime. Like
It's like
in-
art
it's the
crime.
FBI.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the characters uses, like, throughout the whole show, he's got like this nemesis and whatever, and like in whatever situation he's in, there's always like subplots going on, and he uses like a chessboard to like map out his moves and what the other person's doing against him, like, and just metaphorically translates it in real life. It's
Right.
like, oh, this person did this move. Oh, that's like moving the queen.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah, it's wild.
does that make sense to you guys at all?
Yeah, I get it.
does. I don't know
Does it
about
make
everybody
sense,
else.
like, how to apply it?
Yeah.
Or like how, that would ever be like a thing in your own life, or no?
A little bit. I mean,
I think to some
'Cause we don't really
extent.
have nemesis that we're
yeah.
trying to-
Right.
I mean, I'm my own worst enemy, honestly.
Yeah, playing against yourself. I think you could visualize it as like you yourself, you're playing as the king, because when the king dies, game over,
Right.
right? And so then it's like, well, you got pawns. You got to determine what those are.
Well, and I
if
guess
it's employees or what.
you could look at it as
employees,
I
financial
got
assets.
I got work, I got school, I got family. Like you could see, I guess that of okay, I got to go to practice. I got to spend 3 hours, but I also got to study for this test. Like what
What are you
move?
trying to prioritize?
I guess you could visualize.
It would be
that
hard to
way.
visualize your life as chess in like normal day to day,
Yeah.
whereas like in that scenario, it's a little bit different.
It's more of a
but-
long game in
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I was just we were talking about chess, and I was thinking about it.
Mhm.
I feel like it applies, but
Yeah.
Right. And pretty much some other ones like dancers and choreographers will go over stuff in their head before their routine or after, and which I mean, if you think about it, the Tetris effect really kind of comes up all the time when you're just rehearsing something or thinking about something when you're not doing it is the Tetris effect,
right.
Yeah.
right? But it is what
I
it
think
is.
it's super applicable in anything that you do so repetitively,
Mm-hmm.
just because you go on autopilot,
Right.
and then like your mind is. It's hard not to have it
To-
flick on.
yeah, to
that,
click out
even
of
when
it.
you're in other situations.
Right.
Right. Another one that we'll kind of finish up on is language learning. People that are diverting a lot of time into learning a new language may involuntarily think in that language or start speaking in that language. I think of like RMs when they're like, up there giving a talk and they're like, I can't think of the English word for it. And it's like, yes, you can. Shut up. Like, that's so cliche.
I would like avoid saying that at all costs. I would like describe the English word I was trying to get to rather than say, well, I know it in Spanish, just because I didn't want to be that guy.
Right.
But like,
Which like, it obviously is a real thing where
Yeah.
you literally can't think of it in any other sense but the new language.
and I'm like because like, for example, the like Spanish word for appointment is cita.
Mm-hmm.
When I was talking with like Americans in Mexico, even when we would be having like regular conversations in English, we would still talk about our appointments as citas. So it's like, hey, what time's that cita you've got tonight? And it's like, so then to come back here and I'm like, I have a cita with my dentist. And I was like, oh, what is this?
Right. But I mean, that kind of makes sense because CETA, short, appointment, super long. So it makes sense.
English is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Makes no sense.
But-
Oh, it's something weird with that though. Kara, when she was like taking Spanish classes and we'd like read the scriptures or whatever in Spanish just to like help her practice like,
Right.
pronunciations, she'll dream in Spanish. She's had more dreams in Spanish than I have, but the weird thing is that she doesn't understand her dreams because she doesn't speak Spanish. She's still just picking out bits and pieces. And
That's
I'm like,
funny.
What the?
that's funny. Yeah. So pretty much with that one and a lot of these psychological phenomenon is our brain's ability to recognize patterns, because the human brain is so good at that.
Right.
For whatever reason, better than any other species, any other brain, we have the ability to pick out and recognize patterns like that. And it's pretty incredible, actually. Another fun fact about the human brain, did you guys know that humans have the ability to smell rain in the air like 10 times better than sharks can smell blood and water?
Really?
Yep.
How do they prove that?
Because we
stuff?
can smell it. Well, actually, that's another thing is sharks actually don't have that good of a sense of smell. They've got it just about as good as any other fish. They can't smell blood a mile away. It's really like a quarter mile is about the length of their...
That's still pretty good.
Right. Because if you think about it, it's like, say you cut yourself at the beach, a shark a mile out, which is forever away
That's
at the
long
beach, comes swimming towards you because they smell it. Not really.
Yeah.
You know?
You'd
Whereas
have to already
humans...
be in the vicinity, and
Yeah.
then it draws them in.
Yeah, whereas humans, there couldn't be a cloud in the sky. Walk outside, smell it. This smells like it's going to rain, right? And that comes from generations of rain makes our food grow.
Right.
So it's rain comes out. That means, rain makes corn, and corn makes whiskey, and whiskey makes my baby get a little frisky. So, this is a little fun fact for you guys there.
Yeah.
Important things to remember.
Yeah, important things, Anyways, Thank you guys for joining us today. Comment below what your favorite effect was, or if you had any personal examples or experiences with any of these. And yeah, just leave a follow, like, subscribe, click the bell, do all that good stuff for us, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Adios.